Welcome back. It's November 9th, 2025, and you can see how we have bottomed out here in Sacramento. 74 and 88, the final record of the season. And that was after, if I go back to the schedule, um, five straight wins to end the season. So we were at 69 and 88, had secured a better record than the season prior, where we won 68 games. So an improvement this season, and actually a Pythagorean unluckiness, um, coming under the Pythagorean expectation by a game, but limping after the month of June. 7 and 18, 10 and 18, 9 and 17. One of the worst teams in baseball in the second half of the year, and nothing really happened other than it happened. We just were awful. We played the back half of the year like the Guardians, who were a 395 winning percentage team. As we're here on this league page, I do want to say Ellie De La Cruz, 50 home runs, does not win MVP. That instead goes to Juan Soto, who also had a ridiculous season. Noelvi Marte for the Reds up there in batting average as well. Reds do make the playoffs at 82 and 80, but, and I messed up the freaking playoffs again. All the series were best of three. They have been fixed for next season, but the Braves beat the Orioles in the World Series 2 games to nothing for the World Championship. The Reds made it to the NLCS. The Mariners were there as well on the AL side. The Tigers made the playoffs, and the only team from the AL West being the Mariners, because for the longest time we were in second in the division. We tumbled down to fourth, really not too far behind the Astros. We were behind the Rangers for a moment. But with that series victory against them in the second or the last series of the year, that pushed us back into fourth after holding down second up until really the month of September. So what was the deal? I have made some moves already, so I will have to, I guess, figure out a way to find who I cut that. All right, the batting register. Can I scroll on this? Come on. No. Okay. 2025, first season in Sacramento. On the pitching side, I guess it'll just do all of it. WAR. Nick Gordon continued that slump in the second half of the year. Was still an average major league starter, but 85 OPS plus. We'll bring him back in arbitration. We have already signed him to an extension, I believe, have we not? Or yeah, this is the first day of the offseason. He was signed to a $3.46 million extension. Next up, Mervis. Matt Mervis, who has been our best acquisition as the general manager here in Sacramento. 1.7 WAR, 117 OPS plus in only 104 games. He mainly only played against righties, almost exclusively, really. Lefties he was awful against. We've used him against right-handed starting pitching, and he has excelled in that role. You can see his platoon splits are very pronounced. Obviously not a full-time starter, but a good player to have. Langoliers, 1.6 WAR, a league average hitter again. Played a little bit less because of how Connor Wong played. They split plate appearances. Langoliers actually pretty good against right-handed pitching. And we can check Wong, who is here, finished with 1 WAR exactly. We need a left-handed catcher, really, to fulfill the platoon. But Wong was cold in the second half of the year. I did bring him back, but I'm kind of looking to trade him. You can see July, August, September, he was as bad as the team was. Daniel Susac right now is our third catcher on the 40-man roster. I should take him off this short list. And he's ready to go as a backup catcher. So I'm going to try and move off Wong, but he's still a valuable player, so I kept him around. Susac, 4.1 WAR between AA and AAA in the minor leagues this season. Beyond that, Denzel Clark came back for a short time in September, and he played in August as well, and was bad in both months after starting off pretty well before getting hurt in May and June. Really not a full season for him, a half season. He was a positive player in center field, hit okay, and part of the reason why we made this move. Can I get off him? Whereas Estuary Ruiz has been traded to the Seattle Mariners. He can't play center field, he can't hit, and he can steal all the bases he wants, but we have too many right-handed outfielders now. We know who he is. He's had enough playing time with us, and he's gotten hurt a few times. 2 full seasons in Oakland, half season in Sacramento. He's not a quality major leaguer. I should get back to him and see who we traded him for. So the Mariners actually offered this to me. We traded Ruiz and Ryan Noda, who similarly to Ruiz had this real life season in Oakland and then was terrible for us in 2 years. So he's, I'm done with him. He had his chance, and if he does it with the Mariners, good for him. But they offered Mauricio Huerta to us, who is 18 years old, so not going to help us in the short term. But he is a Gold Glove caliber third baseman, and if the bat comes along and he's an average hitter with this kind of defense, that is a fantastic pickup. Gold Glove caliber third basemen don't grow on trees, and here's one of them in our system with really good defense. And then we also picked up Yohendrick Panago, who is a lefty bat in the outfield, just kind of an average player. Was a throw-in to replace what Noda was. So Ruiz gone off the team. Next up after Clark, Tyler Soderstrom in 105 games, 121 OPS plus, 1.2 WAR at first base primarily. He did play a little catcher and I guess a little right field, but he's not a good catcher. He's fine at first base, and he's definitely not playing right field. But he is right now our first baseman of the future, in my opinion. Still struggles against left-handed pitching, but that's okay because he mashes righties and actually fared well against lefties with a fairly high BABIP. But he's 23, going to be 24 next season, already going to turn 24 in 15 days. Very good, great season in AAA for him as well. Excited to see what he does next season. Connor Wong, we talked about. Lawrence Butler had a up and down season. Look at his monthly splits. Started off April, May, June, fantastic, and then hit a wall. August was bad. September was okay. He is good in the field, which actually we had him playing center field a lot, and he wasn't any good. Was good in right, and finishes with a WAR. He was on track for 3 WAR for most of the season, and then just cratered, like I said, in August. The ratings are still there, and at 25, he's got to put it together next season. Ref Snyder, who played well throughout the season, another guy that just turned it off in the last 3 months, was really, really good against left-handed pitching for the most part, and then he just started getting full-time at-bats, and I don't know why. We kind of had a glut of righty outfielders, and Mark Kotze thought that he was the guy that needed to get the bulk of the plate appearances, and you can see 275 plate appearances against right-handed pitching, and he was bad. So that's how it goes. He's a free agent now. I don't think I'll bring him back with who we have, and I'll show you in a moment who's on the 40-man roster. Darryl Hernandez came back up from injury and actually improved. Was slightly valuable, or slightly more valuable player than not. Average hitter, and I'm having him go to the development lab right now to work at defense on second base so that he can be a better defender, and with this skill set, he'd be a really impactful player, only 24 years old. Yoan Moncada played a bit. You can see 88 WRC plus, .3 WAR. He is a free agent. I don't need to bring him back. Zach Jaloff, an up and down season for him as well. Started off awfully in April, but then May, June, July, August. This is the reason we're keeping him around, despite a little bit of a hiccup in September. And part of this is in the minor leagues, but still had production in the majors in the middle part of the year, and he will have really one last shot with one option year left and arbitration coming in next year. He's a selfish player and he's unhappy. So, and he's not going to play shortstop. We just need a shortstop. That was a problem this season after DeYoung got hurt, and we can talk about Paul DeYoung, who is here. Seth Brown played one game. He is a free agent after his injury regressed, and he's going to be out for a few more months. I didn't want to worry about it, so I just cut him. J.J. Bleday also back. Only got a little bit of a chance in the majors this season, but was okay. Brought him back for $1 million. But DeYoung came back from injury and turned out to be bad after that, after a little short stint in AAA. So he's a free agent as well. He's probably a better third baseman than a shortstop, but we don't need him back for either of those roles. Brian Buelvis had a cup of coffee. He's still on the 40-man roster. Bolte was hurt in the end of the. I was going to call him up in September, but he was hurt during that month, so he will have to wait until next season. I have him in the lab working on his contact right now, so hopefully that goes up. And I'll check that in a minute and show you who's struggling, who's doing well. Miguel Vargas, he's just not putting it together. I wish he would, but this Alex Wood trade is turning out to really be nothing for us. And it is unfortunate. And I believe Abraham Toro also hit well for the Dodgers. Not really. Awful in AAA this season for LA. So that's Vargas. And then to wrap up, Biggio, Walton, Wisdom, Noda were our negative players. None of them will be returning next season. Pitching, Mason Miller, an ace. The best FIP minus in Major League Baseball. The lowest home run total allowed. 173 and a third innings pitched. 202 strikeouts, an ERA of 3.01, and the FIP says he's even better than that. And we actually, I know in August we were, I don't know how it held, second in strikeouts in the AL. We were first for a long time. You wouldn't think that the Oakland Athletics would generate the most pitching strikeouts, but we have these guys, Matsumoto, Miller, a bunch of 65 stuff guys, Clevenger, Joe Boyle, and you can see him peeking out here. Brian Abreu, who I just traded for to enhance that even further. He's a free agent next season. 80 stuff. I traded Max Muncy, who was going to be a Rule 5 eligible player. I didn't really have a spot for him on the 40-man. He's a righty, not a good defender. This eye is enticing, but he's already 23. He had a terrible season in AA, and teams wanted him. So I traded for Brian Abreu, who's got a season left. I saved $2 million. And I also acquired Sean Dubin, who I'd like to start, but right now he's in the bullpen. I think he could replace Pete Blackburn, who's a free agent, and Dubin on the minimum for next season as well. He is 30 years old. Didn't pitch well in the bigs. Or actually has really just been an exclusively AAA player. Only came up these 2 seasons for the Astros. So he's really going to be a rookie for us next year, but I think he's a talented player. If we go back to the register. No, that's not what I wanted. Why do they make this so hard? Back here, down to the pitchers. Blackburn. Paul Blackburn, not Pete Blackburn. 4.53 ERA, an average starter, wants $3.5 million. I don't really want to pay him that, so this will wrap up his A's career. 9 years playing for the Athletics, and waited until his last season to have his best season for the A's. I guess last year was good too, probably his best, you would say. 27 starts, one-time All-Star for Paul Blackburn, and we'll see, and we'll root for him as he finds a new team. J.P. Sears will be back after an average season as a lefty starter, 3.92 ERA, pretty good for Sears, coming back for under $2 million in arbitration. Colin Ray, also a free agent, just an average pitcher. We had a staff full of average pitchers, and that's okay. The 8 innings didn't cost all that much money. Garrett Clevenger is going to be our highest paid reliever outside of Abreu. Had a really good year and actually received a vote. Or no, he didn't receive a vote. Newcomb received a vote, a single one, for reliever of the year. Clevenger 2.79 ERA. And I'll just breeze through the bullpen here. Garindo got hurt, but he really improved in the back half of the season. 3.59 ERA. He'll be our second starter behind Miller. Huascar, our all-star, finished strong. Kikuchi came back from injury and wasn't great, but he's back. Newcomb, 2.10 ERA. Did not get a second all-star berth, but like I said, one vote for AL reliever of the year. Joe Boyle, Matsumoto, Brady Basso came up. Cody Fungerburk was not good. I waived Kent Waldachuk, who is now a member of the Diamondbacks. I traded Clark Schmidt, and this is an offer that the Phillies immediately, the day after the regular season ended, I don't know why, because Clark Schmidt is now a free agent, and they traded for him. They wanted Luis Morales as well, who is possibly a starting pitcher at the big league level. He'd have to come along, though. But the player I got in return, Ismael Castillo, is not the main piece of this deal, but it's nice to pick up an 18-year-old, an 18-year-old prospect. Brock Jones, 24, 5.9 WAR, 153 OPS plus in AAA. He won the International League MVP, 65 outfield range, kind of a similar skill set to Henry Bolte, but he's a lefty instead of being a righty, and that is good for us. He's 24, ready to go. Brock Jones, former Ray, but he was traded for Matt Strahm in July of 24. So I'm excited about this pickup that the Phillies really just gave him to us for a player that wasn't a contributor. Owen White also waived and picked up by the Blue Jays. I waived him because he tore his flexor tendon, and I didn't want to keep him on the 40-man roster through the preseason, and he hadn't really been successful with us. Anthony Maldonado, waiver claim, stunk. Ian Seymour, now a free agent, wants a lot of money. Somehow he's in the Arizona Fall League, even though he's not with an organization right now. Spent the season in AAA, wasn't good. It wasn't a good Rule 5 draft pick. So those are our stats. I do want to go flash here to the manager decision history because I forgot to talk about this. Mitch Spence I waived, our last Rule 5 draft pick, actually had a good season for the White Sox, a 3.79 FIP in 33 starts, and he also pitched in 54 games as a reliever. Oh, he was an opener. Okay, 96 and 2/3 innings. He was good. After we got rid of him, I probably wouldn't have kept him around after this season, but he is one of our guys that left the team and pitched better. Trevor Gott, who was a free agent signing, pitched well as well, and then Kyle Mueller, who is our biggest loss, a 4.1 RWAR, 3.33 ERA, 151 and a third innings pitched. I think he's lucky. The FIP tells that he's just an average starter, but that's still a valuable piece. He stunk for us, was good in AAA, but we did get Nick Gordon for him, who is our second biggest acquisition. And Matt Mervis still number one. Colin Ray, Clevenger, Garindo, Yanoa, Wong, blah, blah, blah. Really haven't lost too much off this team that wouldn't have already been lost. These trades were players, except for Mueller, that would have been free agents or I wouldn't have brought back. Some waiver claims have been okay, but not many of them. Brett Harris still with the White Sox as well after a Rule 5 season that saw him start 103 games. Good for him. So, moving now to the 40-man roster. Or actually, I'll go to the lab. Here's who we have in the lab. Henry Bolte to increase quality of contact. He's on track. Brady Basso to improve his pitch arsenal, which would up his stuff. It improves his fastball, curveball, changeup, blah, blah, blah. Because I think he's a quality reliever, and he can also spot start. So I'd like to see him improve. He's on track for that. Darryl Hernandez, struggling with his defensive improvements at second base. But Matt Mervis, excelling in his defensive improvements at third. He played third base a fair bit this season and was okay there. I guess not a fair bit, 5 games. I had him listed there. I thought he was playing more. I guess that's why he was only a 104-game starter. but he's improving at third. Jacob Wilson trying to increase his plate discipline to be a more capable hitter. I thought about doing his defense, but he's a 55. He's 23. I don't think it's a problem. Maybe next year. And then Jack McKernan improving his secondary pitches, and he doesn't have a fastball, but he's now the 78th prospect in baseball, our number one prospect at 18, our first round pick last season. He's on track to improve those secondary pitches. If we look at our farm system, Jesus Rivera, 17-year-old, number 136, Suzak 141, and Serpa 172. I still need to improve this farm system. It's back down to 29th. I claimed Warner Blakely. He's 23. He was on the Angels. He's a lefty infielder, which is something we need, but he's not really ready for the bigs just yet. He'll kind of function as a Rule 5 draft pick this season, I think, but with minor league options. And then other than that, it's a lot of 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds that make up our farm system. That's because I've had to completely reinvent this farm system with not much talent to trade away for prospects. And we'll just have to see how it comes along. Salary-wise, we're looking good. $46 million payroll before free agency. I think a lot of this money that's supposed to be on the books next year will come off as I make some trades. We have $29 million in this free agency period, so I'm hoping to find somebody that can fill some roles. I claimed David Calabrese off waivers. Was a valuable player for the Angels in 42 games. Can play center field. He's a lefty. He's 23. You could see our outfield glut here that needs to be fixed. Will Brennan I also picked up off waivers from the Guardians. He could play capable corner outfield, and he's a lefty, which is something we needed after getting rid of Seth Brown and Ryan Noda. We do still have J.J. Bleday, but I don't entirely trust him. I added Brennan Malone to the 40-man roster, another right-handed second baseman. And then on the pitching side, I think that's it. Yeah. Minor league system. Nothing much going on. I think I can go into the awards that were funny. There were a few awards that were head scratchers. Gold Gloves. I do want to mention Tyler Locklear, first base prospect for the Mariners. Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, and Rookie of the Year at age 24, second round pick out of VCU. Locklear, really nice skill set for the M's. A year removed now from making the ALCS. Josh Hader, you could see this single, probably fifth place vote for Sean Newcomb. Josh Hader wins AL Reliever of the Year. Luke Little, NL Reliever of the Year. His season was great. He got Cy Young votes. Silver Sluggers, Paredes, Shanuel, Rodriguez, Langford, really young guys. Caminero, Henderson, Gleyber Torres does get one at age 28. And then Danny Jansen, who won MVP. I'll talk about that in a second. The debacle that kind of was this award. In the NL, a little older, Ian Happ winning in left field at age 31. Matt Shaw for the Cubs as well. Jordan Walker. Henry Davis at catcher, and he can actually play catcher, I guess, after spending time in the outfield in real life. Locklear, Rookie of the Year. Kyle Teal, I'm a fan of his, gets a vote. Junior Severino also for the Mariners, who's not as skilled of a player ratings-wise, but comes second in Rookie of the Year voting after an All-Star Rookie year here. Interesting. Where is he? So he was a Twin, and he's a Rule 5 draft pick that ended up being second in the Rookie of the Year voting. That is interesting. Matt Shaw, unanimous Rookie of the Year in the NL. Former shortstop from Maryland. He was DHing, won the Silver Slugger there. So Locklear and Shaw, Silver Slugger and Rookie of the Year. Good season for him. Only two other players placed, Vukovic, I guess, and Jake Thompson. Brandon Hyde and Brian Snitker, Managers of the Year. Garrett Cole. So this is interesting. Corbin Burns places second in the Cy Young voting. Here are the guys that are up there. Cole wins it. In the NL, it's Strider, unanimous, whatever. Danny Jansen wins MVP. Gunnar Henderson comes in second, only one total point behind Jansen, meaning Henderson probably got more second place votes than Danny Jansen did, but this one more first place vote leaps Jansen over Henderson, and the reason for that is because somebody picked a different Oriole, and that it was Corbin Burns, who gets one first place vote for MVP. And if Henderson would have gotten it, that would have broken the tie. Gunnar would have won MVP. I think he had a better season. 155 OPS plus at shortstop, 30 homers, 30 doubles, 36 steals, 7.8 WAR. Danny Jansen 6.9 WAR. He did have 170 OPS plus, but he only played 128 games. 42 bombs and 106 homers is amazing. I just don't think that you can give it to a guy who is such a platoon hitter. 252 OPS plus against lefties. I don't know. I mean, you guys can pick. Locklear comes third. Colt Keith fourth for the Tigers, who make the playoffs. Interesting MVP stuff going on. Ellie De La Cruz, I thought would get more votes for NL MVP, but Soto almost walks away with it, or almost 100% walks away with it. 4 votes to De La Cruz, and that's it for the awards. So, free agents out there, we're not affording any of them, but here they are. I have a few offers out. One for Abraham Tejera, an international Cuban center fielder. Luis Sandoval, a Cuban right fielder. And Josh Fleming, who is somehow a 50 overall reliever. Whatever, he's a spark plug and he only wants a minor league deal. So I will offer that to him. And then on the trade block, it's all Astros. I tried to look into Kirk and Garcia, but that's how I ended up with Abreu and Dubin. So that's what we're looking at right now. I think if I look at our staff, I would like to add one more starting pitcher and then as many bullpen arms as I can. I don't know, maybe 2 of them just to fill out the pen. I think we have some good guys here with Maldonado, Boyle, Newcomb, Clevenger, Matsumoto. That's a capable bullpen for a team of our caliber. And then on the lineup side, I think the outfield's set. Clark, Butler. I'm going to try and trade 1 or 2 of these guys just because I don't need all of them on the 40-man roster, and there's not enough at-bats to go around for them. But I think Clark and Brock Jones will platoon in center with Lawrence Butler, and then Henry Bolte, and maybe find a lefty outfielder unless one of these guys asserts himself to platoon with Bolte. I don't want to force him into a full-time starting role just yet at only 22. Number 1 need is a shortstop, and I'll show you who I have in mind for that. Joloff and Mervis can platoon at third if Mervis's defensive improvements take hold. Gordon and Hernandez probably the platoon at second, and then Vargas and Soderstrom at first, unless I can find a better first baseman than Vargas. But right now at 25, I'm willing to give him another shot. We're not a playoff team next year. I think I'll end up trading Wong for a lefty, and maybe even Langoliers. To be honest, he's going to get paid about $4 million. I don't trust these ratings to stay on. I think that his BABIP is a little lower than he's been running, and I don't know if I trust it. So one of these catchers will be moved, and we're going to try and find a lefty to complete that platoon. Full platoon hitting for us, as we don't really have quality full-time bats anywhere that you would trust giving an entire season's worth of plate appearances to. So I mentioned the guys who we're looking at right now. Alejandro Garza, lefty Cuban reliever, 24. Jeremy Pena at shortstop. I think this is going to work out. He really only wants a minor league deal. And actually, I'd be willing to give him 3 years. He doesn't want that. Cushion deal for Jeremy Pena, 2.1. I think he'll sign that. Former World Series MVP could come be the shortstop for us. This power I feel like should be higher, and I feel like he strikes out more than that. But in any event, so we're looking at shortstop. Maybe bring back Ref Snyder, but I don't think so. Blackburn as well. Actually, I'll take these two guys off. I'm not going to sign them. I will put Blackburn in the former A's shortlist that I have. Pena I offered. I want a better starter than Colin Ray, so I don't think I'm going to re-sign him. Brandon Valenzuela wants a minor league deal. He could be that lefty catcher we want, but I'm not actually sure if he's a switch hitting catcher, but I'm not sure if he is leaning more towards hitting lefties or right-handed pitching better. We'll have to see about him. So that's the off-season plan. A catcher, a shortstop, a corner outfielder, a starter, and a couple relievers is the shopping list. And we have to maintain that within $27 million. I think we got our shortstop for $2 million. And everything else is going to fall into place. So I'll come back when the offseason is complete, and we'll give you a rundown of the team next season. Hopefully this farm system gets a little better. I'll try and make some moves. Rookie ball reinforcements should be on the way, but it will take a minute before we get into full swing. Hopefully find somebody in the Rule 5 draft as well. But hope you stick around for the Sacramento Athletics rebuild. Thanks for watching.